I know you like to connect, mind-muscle connection. What are you trying to connect here? Inner thigh?
I'm actually working hamstring tie-in and glutes.
Way up by the butt.
Way up. Secondary is going to be the quads for me relative to everybody else. So the first thing that fires, right off the bottom. You can put all this in the quad. Quad's easy to fire off of this. So.
You said you're focusing on the hamstring tie-in on this one?
Yeah, that's what I'm taking it down with, and that's what I'm loading up. So think of a sumo deadlift. Instead of a hacks, sumo. This is where it is. You're a coil. There you go. So you're like a coil when you're doing sumos. It's coming from the glutes and hams. Now if you're going, well, this is hack squat, this should be quads. Trust me, quads are firing, that's easy. But to get the leg, the full leg firing, that's what I want. Love it.
Burns.
Yeah, you see that? Want you to talk to him after this change up. There you go. Watch the little stuff. Wait for the top. So it's more of a beautiful sumo deadlift. It's coming from here. Get those things. Look at those ass cheeks. Again, this is easy to fire. But now as you're doing the exercise, if you can incorporate the hamstring in the whole leg. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Holy shit, now I know why your hips are up. I didn't get it at first, but now I see his hips are up, and you're trying to take your hips and curl them back just a little bit like you would in a squat. When you're coming back out of the hole, your hips are going to go back to kind of neutral. You want to flex your butt and flex your quads at the same time. Kind of like coming up out of a regular squat or coming up out of the bottom of a sumo deadlift. It feels really good. Ooh, but it burned my butt. What he was saying, try to zone in on the glute hammy tie-in. And when I did that, I pressed out more, maybe almost like you would in like a step up, and flex kind of weight out in here, all the way through the groin and all the way through the quads. Maybe a little bit similar to a sumo deadlift, where you're almost trying to drive the floor away from you. And so in a sumo pull, as you go to pull, you want to drive the floor away from you, keep the shoulders high, hips low, and you're gonna flex your butt. As you're coming through that mid part, you're gonna flex your butt really hard and your hamstrings, and the last thing to flex is gonna be these guys here. Wow, bam. And using your legs helps protect your back because you're gonna be in a better position the entire time. And so that exercise seemed to mimic that specifically. It felt really good.
There you go. Let's go, Mo. Come on. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Let's go. Nice, Mo.
10 more.
Woo. Here we go. Hey, Ben, where you going? Come on. Go.
Yeah. This is it. This is it. Look at my shoulder, look at those legs, look what he's doing with the hips. Now we're going. Yeah. You love this stuff. Come on. Nice. Get it? Get it? Beautiful.
So he's talking about focusing on feeling the glute ham tie-in on that one. And once I focus on coming down, letting my back off the mat, coming down with the hips, and then pushing, Mark mentioned this, pushing from the hips into the hamstrings, and then the last part of pushing up is from the knees. Fuck. My hamstring tie-in right now is lit up. That is good. That is really fucking good. I've never done this before. It's an amazing workout for that. But this is one of those things where there's multiple ways to do the movement. If I could push off the quads, it'd be so much easier. When you push off the hamstrings and focus on that, it turns into a totally different exercise. It's fucking crazy.
Front squat, all kind of quad dominated, keeping the tension on the quads the entire time. Mike set the box there so that we make sure that we go nice and low. And you really notice a lot of forward knee drive. You're kind of intentionally having the knees drive forward. Mona's in a good position. Notice the heels aren't coming out. Notice her body's in contact with the pad the whole time. That's really critical because you don't want to be like slouching around and over. She's doing the best job that she can, staying real upright. Good upright posture. Somebody that has a hard time front squatting, this is a great movement. Not everybody has access to cool machines like that, but as we got here at Gold's Gym, that was a good set. Really good. I did it with no weight on it, and it was still felt very heavy and challenging. I have to scoot my feet forward that way a little bit more. I'll show you what I mean, because if I'm way back here, then I'm just going to kind of be going a little bit more like that. That doesn't seem like a good idea, so I'm going to scoot my feet about right here.
Let's go, Mark.
You saw how easy she was doing that, right? Paying attention to that?
But from this set to his last set, watch the change in range of motion.
This right here feels like the first time I squatted 900 pounds.
One more.
Nice.
You guys saw me take column through this exercise. Strength-wise, Mark is stronger. So again, just so you understand the difficulty of this and the way I'm setting them up, that's only one plate, guys.
You should show those things.
You're almost there, Mark. Almost there.
Finish it.
Nice.
Holy crap, all of it. Don't need a lot of reps on that either. That range of motion is intense. I started to fatigue enough where I don't know if I would be able to get back up if I did another rep or two. Brutal. Michael Hearn lift. Training legs today. Trying to get a little more focus on the quads on this last exercise. First exercise, leg press. Second exercise we moved over to was here. Leg press focused on inner. This one focused more on the glute ham tie-in. And then this one right here is all quads. It's eliminating being able to use your lower back. This is all legs right here. It's kind of like a nastier version of a front squat, if there is such a thing. But see how much forward knee travel we have? Nsima has good posture and good mechanics, so his heel doesn't have to come off the ground. But this thing is brutal. You feel like it really zaps your energy, it zaps your power. Again, look, if you're thinking about, a lot of times people are thinking of increasing volume, and Mike is one of the few people I've seen that considers the length at which you move being part of the volume equation. Strength coaches know this, but like most regular people in the gym, bodybuilders, powerlifters, stuff, they never equate that. That's a huge factor. If you move more, that's going to change the intensity of what you're doing. And here, because we're moving so far and we're lifting at a mechanical disadvantage, you got to really reduce the weight. But it's a tremendous exercise. I mean, this is going to be, I think it's going to be it for today. We did start out with some leg curls as well, so 4 exercises for the day, but really 3 exercises, and really on each one going hard for 1 or 2 sets on each one to kind of get the most out of it. Felt really good.
You know something I don't think they'll pick up is, this is huge. Your calories, you're in a deficit or are you in a surplus?
I'm in a deficit, yep.
So we're in a deficit. So to the common Joe, and this is going to be a hard thing because I know that you and me could not do it, and we still can't do it really. If I said go in and train at 60%, but give me 1 or 2 sets that are just beyond, because right now we're in a deficit, so there's no point to go smash your head against the wall.
Right.
Can you do it?
It is, yeah. It's very, very difficult. You know, the great ones, the people that are really truly great at stuff, they do know how to pull back because they know that they need to reload for the next day. So while they do go hard, I think that's the problem is people keep talking about the grind and working your ass off and working your face off and waking up early, but then they don't see all the recuperation that's going on. They're not paying attention that Michael Hearn's had 6 meals for the last 66 years. You know, he doesn't miss a meal and he's recovering from every single thing. And then also you're staying active, you know, like it might be the time of year when he's doing cardio. Cardio is active rest. He's constantly feeding his body protein, carbohydrates, fats at every single turn. And then when is your sleep compromised? Never. You know, it might get compromised here or there, like a small move and change, but also, you know, for every 4 a.m. workout, Mike occasionally is coming in at like 7. You know, and then he'll say that, he'll mention that, but everyone's still so stuck on those 4 a.m.s, and which are huge because they can help change your life. Waking up earlier changed my life. I think it'll have a huge impact on you guys, and you should work on waking up earlier than you're used to, but not necessarily at 4 a.m. out of nowhere. But really trying to recover from these things. And also, kind of a final note is, how many exercises are you gonna do? Are you gonna do 7 exercises in a workout? Well, if you do, you might wanna be careful because 3 days later, you might be zapped on energy. And then you're gonna ask Michael Hearn, you're gonna go on his Instagram, bro, how do I stay motivated?
Jeez, there's so much we can talk about, right? How do you train in a deficit? Okay, but then you just said something else. My plan is 7 exercises. Then you go into the gym, and what you want to do and what you've written down is something different than what your body's going to tell you. So when do you judge it and go, listen, today's 3 exercises, then I'm leaving. When that's why I say train smarter, not harder. You're still training hard, but there's got to be an understanding to it.
And you hit those 7 exercises because that's what was written down. And you don't want to be a wimp. So you're like, I got to stick to the plan.
7.
You stick to the plan. You maybe, you know, injure yourself, tweak something, or even if you didn't, again, a couple days later, you're gonna be paying the price. I always go back to the words from Jake Cutler. Don't be fancy, be consistent. This is what consistency will end up looking like. So figure out a way for you to stay consistent. It might only be 1 exercise. I tell people now, you know, agree with yourself. Say, you know what, at lunch for work today, I'm gonna go eat some shoulders. You know, and just go do 1 exercise for shoulders. You know that once you're in the gym, you'll probably talk yourself into 1 or 2 more. But how much easier will it be to wake up the next day and go train again and have your efforts be repeatable? You find things that are repeatable. Now you're on your road to consistency. Consistency is going to be helping you go towards being good at something. If you're good at something for a long period of time, you can hang on long enough, you have the opportunity to be great at it. Well, bam.
Moan, I thought you were getting in.
So
We'll
we'll be able to talk about a lot of stuff, and I know this video is just going to be about the exercise we're doing today, but we talk about the deficit and how to train the deficit. When you put a game plan together but go in the gym and your body goes, no, I don't got that. So when do you train smarter? Something that's right here. Elite power lifter, elite football player, and to me, that's the pinnacle, and this is what I'm around. And these guys will testify to the changes, the minute changes. Like I said, the hack squat, you did 4 things different than a typical hack squat. Yeah. We got an elite football player that was, again, like us, started training the same as me by 13-year-old Savages. But he trained a lifetime of perfect form, perfect. He came to me and squatted 275 in an awkward position that I set him up to.
It was like a sissy squat on top, heels on top of a 45-pound plate. It wasn't awkward. It was crazy.
A year later, he did 500 at the same thing. How much stronger are those ligaments and joints?
Oh, and everyone tells you, oh, don't do that, don't do that. The book says the science degree, blah, 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 blah. Every sport, you're going to be put in awkward positions. So if you don't train for what your body is going to be demanded of on a basketball court, a track, a football field, you're just asking for injury. So step outside the box. I know this. His body has done things that the world would say impossible. This Joker's done things that the world would say impossible. I've done a few things in that realm, but if you allow yourself as a human being to be squeezed in a box, you won't come close to maximizing your human potential. And you don't have to be genetic freak of nature with the most beautiful proportions of, you know, tiny knees, massive quads, you know, even wrist structure to bicep size. But then you watch Mark squat. If you look at the way that his legs are even bowed from the back, God built this man to squat with power, to squat with a lot of thrust and force. So we're not all built the same, but find out what works for you, but listen and learn. Don't necessarily live and learn. Living and learn comes with massive consequences, but when you can listen and learn to guys that know what the heck they're talking about, a lot of power in that.
This guy, a decade in the NFL, when you were training with Mike, there was always some variation of the exercise you could always figure out, right? Like maybe a couple things might have hurt your elbow, your knee a little bit here and there, but you could tweak your foot position, you could raise up a box height, you could move stuff around and still get the same, work the same muscle. Still get the same intensity, but it's a different look, different exercise.
Well, and what he would challenge me to do is, because when I first met Mikey, and really when I first kind of walked into y'all's world, I had a whole bunch of stinking thinking in my head. Luckily, I had a guy named, I had Mike Wojcik in New England, had 3 Super Bowl rings as a strength coach with Dallas, 3 with New England, and he had really challenged my thought process a lot on speed and power movements that you firmly believe in. But when I got with Mike, my knee hurts. Complete ACL reconstruction, meniscus, microfracture. People are like, never squat again. Bull crap, I'm 41, we'll still play around with 600 pounds. But guess what? He forced me to swallow my pride, drop my ego, put on weight on the bar that I hadn't had on the bar since I was 15 years old, and then say, hey, work through the pain and discomfort. And then lo and behold, you know what happened? The body quit hurting. When I forced it to do what it didn't want to do, slow and controlled, I eventually got to a point where we're toying with 500 pounds with our, you're not gonna be able to fit this in the whole frame, but heels together, literally like this, down in the depth and coming out of it. And everyone says, bad for your knees. Screw that.
I think it's amazing that you said you had stinking thinking, because you played with Drew Brees, you played with Tom Brady, you've been around all these studs, and Bill Belichick. So it goes to show you guys, like, you're never safe. You know, whatever you've previously done in your life, it really doesn't matter. You have to figure out a way to forge forward. And with the injuries and the body damage that you had to still have a good, positive, strong mindset.
Well, and this whole world starts with humility, because the moment you think you have all the answers, you are in massive trouble. Whether it's in your relationship with your significant other or whether you're trying to squat 600 pounds, the moment you think you have it all figured out, you are screwed. You might not know it yet, but I promise you, you are heading towards some path of destruction. So listen, just listen, and then trial and error. I worked with him for almost 2 years, and I was getting stronger and stronger and stronger in all these areas. But I wasn't really growing because I was looking at this every day. Mona pulls me aside and says, hey, try this little angle for your rear delts, and then drop the weight. And this is what we used to do when I was on stage. And then try like 18 to 20 reps, which his genetic code doesn't need 18 to 20 reps to grow. Put 3 reps on this sucker, and it's gonna be like, boom. That's why I hate him. That's why I love Mark, because him and I are more genetically equal. But long story short is, you gotta listen. And if you're not humble enough to try something, you ain't going nowhere, and you're going nowhere fast.
Hey guys, for my viewers, congratulations. In 3 weeks, we changed your mindset. I don't know about you guys, but YouTube is the worst of the egos. Everything you see is negative. And in 3 weeks, my fans went from, that's wrong, they're going, I'm going to attempt this. And I want to say, I'm around guys, so go up to Super Training Gym or follow Heath on his big movement right now. I'm just trying to be people that are trying to teach you. We are trying to teach you. We're trying to give you our knowledge. I'm an old guy, so I just want to share that with you guys so you guys can be better than me. And as we're talking about this, because I was going to show you a kid that's better than us, and he's in his 20s, and he's natural, and he's a freak. Come here. Stop filming and come here.
I'm gonna swap. I'll swap the camera.
And this is why we do what we do, so you can be like this, and the future is yours. That's all I gotta say.
It's never worked out yet.
The future is yours.
Some better, but you're still much stronger than me. So I'm trying to find where the better is. I'm trying to get to that level, man.
You got that Mac Daddy look and body and everything. But this is you're how old now?
27.
27, and he's around this. Could you imagine? I got blessed that I was 13, 14 around Doyle Kennedy, Jeff Magruder, Doug Furness, and I grew up with it. So my mindset...
You sent me that video of Bull Stewart the other day, got me fired up.
Guys, I'm going to show you a video of someone who never said a word to me. All he did is beat me. And he changed my life forever. Bull Stewart, I love you. You know that you changed my life forever. But this is what it's about. It's about learning. It's about being a good person. It's about hanging out with people that are just uplifting and stuff instead of those negative people.
he said to me earlier, he said, this is something he got from Bill Belichick, and anytime Heath drops a bomb like that from Bill Belichick, my ears perk up, huge football fan. But he said, study it, test it, try it, and delete it if it doesn't work. He said that's the difference between Bill Belichick and all the other coaches. Because we talked about strength training, he said many of the coaches in the NFL are scared that their athletes are going to get hurt. And so if they're going to cut back anywhere, it might be on strength and conditioning. Bill Belichick just says, hey, look, let's look into it a little bit. Let's give it a shot. And if it's not looking like it's working, then we're going to delete it. Do the same thing with your training.
There we go. But let's just keep it real. Arms like this, power and sexiness like this. Listen, it's unattainable, so don't buy the lot. It's unattainable.
Don't bother.
Sneaky.